All right, so I have just quickly zipped into the Locations tab. This is actually where you're going to, that's the next place you need to go to get started in the game creation. I'm going to smooth this over. Everything in here is pretty much movable, so I'm going to go to Map Files. This is where you would add your map. So your map is, it could be anything. In this instance, it looks like a Google map, but other ways that maps can look like are, here's a different kind of map. So instead of doing like the Google map that we had earlier, we actually have something that allows you to stitch together graphics so that you can move around. So if I click on these doors, it takes you into different rooms. So you get the sense that a map doesn't necessarily have to be a Google map. It can actually be a drawing or even a live image. And by that I mean, maybe you have an image that looks like this, and what we can do is we can take those images and we can make these clickable items. We could click over here and that might take us to another image that is connected to this one. So essentially what we're trying to communicate is that images can be maps, maps can be images, they can be finger paintings. A map is simply something for which we say, hey, there's something for you here to click on that will take you somewhere else. Back to StoryStylus, you'll see that I've already hooked up my map of Vancouver. So you need to have previously uploaded the graphic, which I have. So if I were to do this to add a new, so I'm just going to click on that. I'm going to say Vancouver 2. All right, and then I'm going to, sometimes you have to click 3 times, there you go, and Vancouver map. So next thing you know, that row, that Vancouver 2 city, is hooked up to the existing Vancouver map. So if I go here, go back to here, over here, I've now got a map on Vancouver 2. Now, I'll just leave those there. We'll delete them later, but there's your add, delete, and filter. Then we're going to go over to, let's see, locations. So I have a couple of locations. I have, again, uploaded those location graphics and identified them over in the graphics tab as locations. And what you do is you add and then you identify your graphic. So it's pulled up the graphic. Is that location visible? And what that means is, do you want that to show up on your map from the very beginning? If not, we can actually put that as hidden and we can make it known later. So for example, maybe in the beginning of your story, you only have one location, that other locations become known as we visit characters, solve puzzles, discover things. If I scroll over here, actually I'm just going to minimize this for a sec. There you go. Got a little bit more room. You can see the XY coordinates on the map. So if I'm over here and I decide to move the location of the restaurant, I don't know if you noticed, but that little button moved. So I'm going to put it back to where it belongs. There you go. So let's go here. This is where you would put your description of that particular location. Your author notes are notes that only you see as the creator. Now, there are a couple of extra things here. Add location type to selected location, add location look. Then you've got your add, delete, and filter. I'm going to go into a separate video for masks, but the idea with the mask is that you can actually have multiple photos or descriptions attached to any story entity. A story entity being a person, place, location, event, item. The idea being that at a certain point, you can trigger the mask and the mask will swap out these details. So for example, maybe in chapter 3 of the story, the legendary noodle becomes the hangout for the rich and famous. So the story description has changed and we can do that. So I'm going to show you how to do that in another video. Then we have room hovers. Again, we're going to do room hovers and doors and locations in separate videos. But for now, you have your maps and your locations. Thanks for watching.